The stacked V stitch pattern is a kind of a variation of a stitch pattern I found in a Japanese stitch pattern book that I liked, and I just kind of altered it a little bit to make it something that was a little bit more workable for my purposes. So that is what this stitch pattern is. To begin, you need to start with a multiple of 6 plus 1. So you can work into a base of chains, or in this case I like to work into a base of single crochet. So I have 19 single crochet here because a multiple of 6 would be 18, and then plus 1 makes 19. So this is my multiple of 6 plus 1, which is 19 single crochet. This is the base that I'm working into. Now for the stitch pattern, I'm going to chain 1 and turn, then single crochet into each of the first 3 stitches. So I'm going to just go ahead and make my single crochet into each of the first 3 stitches. Then this is my repeat section. I chain 1 and then single crochet into skip 1 and single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So I chained 1, I'm skipping 1, and then I'm going to single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. 1 and 5. Now repeat that, chain 1, skip 1, and then single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. 5, and you keep doing that until there are just 4 stitches left, which is where we are now. So now when there's 4 stitches left, you chain 1, skip 1, and single crochet into each of the last 3 stitches. Okay, so there you go. Okay, now for row 3, we are going to, this one's a really simple row. We're going to chain 1 and then just single crochet into every stitch and every chain 1 space across, okay? So you'll end up with the same number of stitches as you started with. We started with 19. There will still be 19 single crochet. So we're just going to go make a single crochet into every single crochet and around every single chain 1 space. So here's a chain 1 space, and I'm just putting my hook through the chain 1 space to make that single crochet, and it makes that chain 1 space much more obvious. We're just going to keep doing that all the way across. Okay, here we just single crocheted all the way across, and we went into each of those chain 1 spaces when we got to them, making those spaces really obvious. Okay, now we're actually just going to repeat the last 2 rows, okay? So we're going to repeat, first we're going to repeat this pink row, then we're going to repeat this yellow row. So we chain 1, we turn, we single crochet into each of the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, 1, 5, chain 1, skip 1, and then repeat that, single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Now when there's 4 stitches left, we chain 1, skip 1, and single crochet into each of the last 3 stitches. So there you go. Our green row just repeated our pink row. Now we're repeating the yellow row. So we chain 1, turn, and we're going to single crochet into each stitch and chain 1 space across, making sure we're actually working around those chain 1 spaces. So we've single crocheted into these first 3 single crochet. Now we come to a chain 1 space, and we're going inside that chain 1 space. So we're working around it, makes it really obvious, making a single crochet, and we're going to keep doing that all the way across. Okay, now there we go. We repeated our pink and yellow rows as our green and blue rows. Okay, so here's where the fun begins. This is the first of our 2-row repeat. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and now we're going to place a single crochet into the first stitch. Now we're going to make a double treble into this first skip stitch way down here. Okay, so that's the first skip stitch in row 1. We're going to make a double treble, which means we yarn over 3 times, go into this skip stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, now we don't work into this stitch, this next single crochet, because that's what this double treble was taking the place of this stitch. Okay, that's the stitch. It just went all the way down here instead of here. So we skip that. We're going to make a single crochet, a chain 1, skip 1, and then another single crochet. Now we're going to double treble again into that same spot. So 1, 2, 3 into the same stitch, okay, just right next to the other one, making our double treble. Okay, and now I'm going to repeat that entire process. We're not going to work into this stitch, because that's what this double treble was. So we skip that one, we go into the next one and place a single crochet. Then we make a double treble into the next skip stitch way back on row 1. Okay, we don't work into this stitch. We go make a single crochet into the next one, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next, and then a double treble into the same stitch as the last double treble. It's a little fiddly at first, but then once you've done it a few times, you really get the hang of it. Okay? We're going to keep doing that until there's just the 2 stitches left, 1 stitch left, depending on how you're going to count it. You'll see. So we don't work into this one. We go into here. We place our single crochet, and then make our next little V. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now you can see there's this stitch that is actually counting for the double treble we just made, and then there's the 1 stitch after that. We're going to place that single crochet into that very last stitch. And that is the end of this row, of row 6, which is the first of our 2-row repeat. Row 7, which is the second of our 2-row repeat, is the same as the yellow row and the blue row. It is just single crocheting across, and that includes going into the chain 1 spaces. So we chain 1 and turn, and then we single crochet into the very first stitch of the row and into each stitch across. Okay, that includes on top of those double trebles, on top of the single crochets, and then right through and around those chain 1 spaces. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to keep doing that, working in every stitch across. Okay, and that is the last of our 2-row repeat. Okay, let me just show you a few things here. We're going to turn, this is the back, okay? So let's turn this around, take a look at it. Now all you need to do is repeat these last 2 rows. Repeat the purple row and this pink row over and over again to your desired height. Now when you're at the point where you're just going to make 4 more rows, which means 2 more sets of V's, every time you repeat this purple row, the row with the V's in it, you can go ahead and not do the chain 1 spaces. Instead of putting in those chain 1 spaces right here, the last 2 times you make your V's, you can just go ahead and put a single crochet in there, because there won't be any V's coming in to be worked into them. Okay, it's really an aesthetic thing. If you don't want to see those little holes at the top of your repeat of patterns, just take them out the last 2 times you repeat row 6. The last 2 times you repeat the row with the V's. Okay, so just repeat this as many times as you want, the purple and the pink row 6 and 7, to get your desired height. And the last 2 times you repeat row 6, the purple row, you do not need to put chain 1 spaces in. You can replace those with single crochets. So here you can see I repeated that pattern a few more times, and I actually discovered something I hadn't really thought about before. But when you do this pattern with 5 different colors and you just change color every single row, you actually end up working your V's into the same color. So like my yellow V worked into this yellow row, and my blue V worked into this blue row. It was really kind of cool. I hadn't thought about that, but it makes sense, because you're actually, every time you make a repeat of row 6, you're working those double trebles into the skipped space 5 rows below. So of course that makes sense. Now, you can end your pattern on either a repeat of row 6 or a repeat of row 7, whichever one you prefer. Just make sure that the last 2 times you repeat row 6, you replace those chain 1 spaces with a single crochet, or else you'll have some chain 1, you'll have those chain 1 spaces in the middle here, right here and here, where you don't actually want them. Okay, unless you do want them. That's totally up to you. Now, once you've done your last repeat of whichever one you're going to do, if you're going to end on row 6 or row 7, whichever one, then you can just put a border on. It's just an even stitch, because you'll have one, you won't have any like extra stitches worked in or anything. So I started with 19 stitches. I want to end with 19 stitches. All I'm doing is chaining 1 and putting a single crochet into each stitch across, and that is going to be my border. And like I said, you could have put this on top of your last repeat of row 6, or you could put it on top, ending your repeats with a repeat of row 7. Either way, I'm doing it right now, and on a last repeat, my last repeat row was row 7, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know what? I think I would like it better if I put it on top of the row 6, because the very first V goes down into this gray color, the bottom border, so I feel like the very last V should end at the gray color as well. But that's just what I'm thinking here. You do you. So here we go. There is my little swatch of my stacked V's.